Today I'm reacting to wild moments you won't believe that actually happened by Zack films, from a big woman falling off her bed onto her husband but ended up crushing him to death, to seeing a tourist literally get impaled by a sharp fence. And by the way, these wild moments only get wilder throughout the video.
If you peed on an electric fence, could the electricity travel up the stream and kill you?
Yo, so Zack, I'm gonna just straight up ask you, who in the heck asked this? Who on earth would pee on an electric fence in the first for fun, bro?
He hit the chisel, chipping off pieces of the mountain to build the entire tunnel all by himself.
Okay, sorry, but that's just insane.
At first, villagers laughed, but he returned day after day with just a hammer and a chisel. You see, years earlier, his wife had fallen off a cliff and was badly injured, but the nearest hospital was blocked by the mountain, and the only route went around it, stretching over 40 miles.
Oh my gosh.
His wife's injuries were too severe, and she died before they could reach it. So the man swore no one else would suffer the same fate. And for 22 years, he chipped away at solid rock until a passage finally cut through the cliffs. It was as long as a football field and served as a quick route to the hospital, which has saved countless lives.
Yo, props to him, because wow, that hunger, that goal, that fulfillment he had to do for his wife, yo, that's actually crazy, man. Bro, his motivation, his discipline to be able to do that for 22 years is insane. Seriously, like, bro, that job isn't easy either, bro. Just chiseling at rock day and night. Damn, his raised shower was strong enough to literally split mountains and have crazy work, bro. That's what I'm saying. Not even a mountain was stronger than the man's love for his wife. Seriously, bro.
He wrapped the meat in foil before placing it on top of the car's engine. Then he shut the hood, and his friend started driving. Miles later, they stopped, lifted the hood, and unwrapped the perfectly cooked meat. After that, they started testing different foods. Cooking chicken wings took around 160 miles.
That's
Pork
a lot of miles.
tenderloin was done after 250, and shrimp after just 35 miles. They wrote down every result and turned it into a cookbook for your car engine.
No way, seriously? How much do you want your steak done, sir? 150 miles. That's actually hilarious, bro. These guys did an experience that we never knew before. Yeah, bro.
He lost half of his jaw.
Never fails to surprise us with the less than 1 second intro bangers, bro. He lost half of his jaw. Alright!
Doctors sawed into his leg bone, cutting out a section and reshaping it into the curve of his jaw. Then they drilled in dental implants while the bone was still attached to his leg, and they attached a set of custom 3D printed teeth. Once inside his mouth, blood vessels from the leg were stitched to vessels in his neck, keeping the new jaw alive. And tiny screws locked the bone in place, securing it to what was left of his original jaw.
That's whoa. Now that's actually a wild moment I can't believe. Yo, that's so advanced. Think about it, y'all. Lost half of his jaw. Okay, yeah. Honestly, at that point, your life is ruined. Seriously. And then, we got some crazy doctors, right? Some big brain doctors literally taking your own bone, making it into a jaw, and that same jaw or bone had like some blood vessels attached to it, and put it to his mouth. Yo, that's insane. These doctors are big brain. That's what I'm saying.
If you wake up inside a coffin, could you repeatedly hit the lid to eventually break out?
Not gonna lie, this is one of my worst fears ever. Being buried alive is, I think, so scary.
Well, you would only have about an inch of space. So plant your feet at the bottom, bend your elbow slightly, and keep your wrist straight. Then snap your fist forward while squeezing your knees and pushing your hips forward, using your whole body in one motion. Now, it would take hours of hits just to crack the wood. And even if you somehow managed to make a hole, the heavy dirt above would pour in, meaning it would fill the space in seconds, leaving you no room to dig out of the coffin.
That just made things worse. I'm praying that none of us would be in this position ever. Yeah, actually, seriously, I think this is one of the worst ways to die, bro.
He climbed the Coliseum's spiked fence, trying to get the perfect photo. But as he did, he slipped, and the metal spike drove straight into his back. They pierced his spine, leaving him hanging there in agony. For over 20 minutes, he screamed as tourists watched and rescuers tried to reach him. Doctors had to sedate him on the spot before carefully pulling his body free. He needed surgery and more than 80 stitches, and he now faces penalties for tampering with the landmark.
Well, I mean, at least his life is safe, but oh my gosh, let's get a replay, y'all.
Straight into his back. They pierced his spine, leaving him hanging there in agony.
This is just natural selection at this point, yep.
The strings are tied, and each and every part of the sandwich is carefully laid right on top of the strings. This holds every layer perfectly in place, as a tiny razor blade sits below, waiting for the signal to cut. The camera locks into position, its lens focused on the sub, then the blade is released and slices through each string, releasing everything in one smooth motion. Each ingredient drops into place as the camera records in slow motion.
And that's how your advertisements are made, y'all. McDonald's has been real quiet since this drop, bro.
The rat sees the flash of light, and its brain fires with a signal, telling it to pick the left lever for water. Tiny electrodes record that signal and send it through wires thousands of miles away into a different rat's brain. Now, this rat never saw the flash of light, but the signals it's receiving make it feel like it should pick the left lever. When it does and finds the water, both rats get a treat. Over time, the two rats learn to work together, using a shared brain stretched across continents.
Are you serious? What the heck? Wait, that cord must be like hella long, no? Like, yo, rat 1, hurry up. What's taking you so long, bro? Rat 2, ping is way too high, bro.
They set up the camera to keep an eye on their toddler, but he woke up at 2 a.m., screaming and pointing at the camera. At first, his mother thought she was dreaming, but she heard a man's voice softly shushing him through the speaker. Then her husband heard it too. She ran into the toddler's room and froze. She saw the light on the baby monitor was flashing, meaning someone was watching them. You see, the monitor was connected through Wi-Fi, and someone had hacked in just to talk to their son through the camera.
Well, when he said talk to his son through the camera, it's kind of crazy, bro. What kind of plot twist is this, bro? Talk about predator at behavior. Yeah, no, that's weird, bro. Man's pre-ordering at birth, bro.
They stuck the metal nails into each end of the hot dog and used wires to connect it to a plug in the wall. Once the connection was complete, the electrical currents started flowing into the meat. Now, because hot dogs have water and salt inside, they conduct electricity, which turns into heat as it passes through, cooking the hot dog evenly. Eventually, the water inside transforms into steam, and once there's too little water left to carry the electricity, it turns off, giving you a perfectly cooked hot dog.
Yo, that's pretty impressive, yo. No, Zach, I do not want to electrify a hot dog, bruh.
The sun hit the building, then bounced off and melted the car below. You see, the building was designed with a curve, and when the sun was at its highest point, it hit the glass at the perfect angle. When it bounced off, it was focused into a concentrated beam.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like a cartoon alien weapon, bruh.
Reaching almost 250 degrees on the ground. This was enough to melt cars and burn doormats. It even fried an egg, and it only stopped when shade covers were finally installed.
Yo, that's scary, bro. When you're trying to explain to the insurance company how your car melted, yeah, you're not getting that insurance, bro. Insurance company, how did your car break? You'll never guess.
They dropped in the goldfish, and as it swam, the overhead camera tracked the direction of its nose, making the tiny wheels underneath roll wherever the fish turned its head. The scientist also placed a pink board on one of the walls, and when the goldfish drove itself there, it would get a tasty reward. But even when they put the board onto a different wall, the fish still found the right one every single time. Meaning they weren't just swimming randomly, they were learning to adapt to new environments, just like a human.
Holy snap, yo, that guy is smart. Take your dog for a walk, not take your fish for a drive, bro. Yo, that's crazy. Nah, that's seriously, yo, that's so impressive, bro. Nah, that's such a wild moment to see.
They rolled the bulldozer onto the driveway, tearing it into chunks, while the homeowners and police begged them to stop. You see, the workers were hired to make a new driveway, and after spending days perfecting it, the homeowners refused to pay them the full amount. So they came back to destroy what they had built. The police were called and tried to calm them down, but still, the workers refused to stop unless they got paid. The homeowners eventually gave in, paying the workers everything they promised, but their driveway was left half destroyed.
That's funny. Would have been smart just to pay them in the first place. Exactly, bro.
The boy decided to redesign the American flag for a school project. You see, the US had only 48 stars back then, and he correctly guessed that Alaska and Hawaii would join soon. So he cut out 50 stars, sewing them onto a flag. His teacher was not impressed and gave him a B-, but he said if he got the flag accepted into Washington, he might change the grade. The boy wrote letters and called the White House many times. And 2 years later, President Eisenhower called to tell him that his flag was chosen. And the teacher finally gave him an A.
You better get what? Yo, having a conversation with the president's pretty damn cool, bro. What the type of kid my mom compares me to? All nationals an A+, bro. Yo, you're getting everything, bro. To be able to talk to the president as a student, bro. Not many people get that, bro.
Her face slammed.
Okay, great right to the start of the video.
Into a rock as she slipped, breaking her nose and injuring her hand and leg. When rescuers arrived, they loaded her into a basket attached to a helicopter. But when the chopper took off, the blades pushed air down toward the woman, and a safety line snapped, causing her to spin. She
this about to go crazy.
Quickly gained speed, turning uncontrollably, and the blood rushed to her head and eyes. She spun 175 times over the course of just 40 seconds, until they finally pulled her inside. The woman was dizzy for days after, and she sued the city, winning almost $500,000.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about, girl. The dizziness that person felt is an undiscovered number. Yeah, days. Bro, normally when you just spin around, right, you just get it for like maybe like 10 seconds, that dizziness. But oh my gosh, that's fast speed. Oh my gosh.
If a zip tie clamps around your finger really tight, the blood vessels inside would be clamped shut, trapping the blood in your fingertip and stopping it from flowing. The skin would quickly swell, turning red, but since no new blood would come in, your fingertip would run out of oxygen. Without it, the cells inside would begin to starve, and your flesh would soon turn black and die, eventually rotting off completely.
Can a zip tie cut off your fingers? I don't want to know that.
The ambulance turned and smashed straight into his bike, throwing the 71-year-old man onto the pavement.
That guy's old.
The crew jumped out and lifted him inside, rushing him to the hospital. But weeks later, the old man got a bill in the mail. They had charged him almost $2,000 for the ambulance ride.
No, that's how it is actually nowadays, y'all. When I discovered that like calling 911 or whatever your emergency number is, and that ride they gave you, that's not free, y'all. So if you're bleeding like crazy and you need to go hospital, take an Uber.
The same one that hit him in the first place. And that was only a small part of the huge medical cost he faced after. Now he's fighting in court, saying the ambulance should pay his bills.
Did he win? Come on. Nah, it's still in court. Probably waiting for the old guy to pass away or something so they don't have to pay him. Oh, that's freaked up, bro.
The shark is beheaded and gutted. Then they bury it in a gravelly sand, weighing it down with stones. You see, this shark has poisonous chemicals in its tissues, and if you ate enough of it right away, the toxins could kill you.
Isn't that mercury?
So the meat is kept under the stones for weeks as the pressure squeezes out fluids, and the poisonous stuff in the meat gets broken down by microbes. Then they dig it up and cut the meat into slabs before hanging them in a drying shed for months. Cold air and wind dry the meat, and a tough brown crust forms. They slice off the crust, cube the pale meat, and serve it. Stinky, but completely safe to eat.
I didn't want to eat that, bro.
When you flush a public toilet, poop particles
That's disgusting.
float through the air. And when you turn on the hand dryer, they get sucked inside and blasted onto your skin, covering you in poop germs. And once you leave the bathroom, they can be transferred onto everything you touch. Even your face will carry some of those poop particles, meaning you should just use a paper towel to dry your hands.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so first and first, I knew that like using them air dryers were a no-go because apparently they did an experiment where like it's actually worse. Like you get so much bacteria on your hands. But I did not know like the poop particles. Come on, man. I thought it was just like the dirty germs from people washing their hands not fully. Yo, that's disgusting, bro.
She stumbled as she got out of bed, and her 220-pound body fell on top of her husband, who was lying on the floor beside the mattress. She slid into the gap between the bed and the wall, wedging him underneath her weight. He tried to push himself free, but the pressure on his chest made it impossible to breathe. His wife screamed while trying to lift herself up, but she couldn't move. Neighbors rushed in and pulled her off, but her husband had already suffocated.
I hope this is not a true story, bro. Yo, I can't believe this. Bro did not deserve that, yeah, bro. I had enough of these wild moments you won't believe. I'm done. If you guys want to see more content like this, click this video here, bro. No,